I was on the deep web after hearing all the craze about it. I had to go on Reddit to get the really interesting links. Most of the links just took you to pages that would list hundreds of other pages. At first, it just seemed like an endless cycle of pointless pages, until I somehow landed on a very dark-themed website. I don't mean it was a horror-themed scary story website. I mean the banner had the disgusting and disturbing picture of what looked like a girl no older than 12, blindfolded with slits in her mouth and bruises all over her face. I never knew how dark the internet can get, but I knew right after seeing that picture, it can only get worse on that website. I could have and should have just closed the browser or clicked the back button then and there, but something possessed me to click through the forums on each and every forum post. They were all littered with gut-wrenching, brutal, and sadistic pictures of children, from babies and toddlers all the way up to a 16-year-old girl, all being tortured. I don't even want to describe what I saw, but I want you to understand the true horrors that go on in the deep web, and in this world. One post was titled, "Followed 10-year-old home successfully, knocked out and brought back." I dared click on it, and saw pictures of an innocent 10-year-old boy who was originally on his way home from school, tied up to a chair attached to some kind of torture machine that looked as if it belonged in a Saw movie. I scrolled down, and the pictures got worse. The device on his chair started to carve into his wrist. I couldn't even finish that post. I had to click back. I found another shocking post with a link to a video of a newborn child being dipped into a pot of boiling water. I could only watch about 10 seconds before closing the video. I would describe more, but I don't want to share any more of it for your own sake. However, the worst part that still kills me knowing this is that I used to be a camp counselor for about 4 years, and I had dealt with many hundreds of kids. A few years back, there was the very upsetting news that one of the kids attending the camp, one of the kids in my group, had gone missing. That was many years ago, and everyone since has just given her up for dead. That was confirmed when I clicked on one certain post. There was the dead body of an 8-year-old girl, almost completely mutilated, but face still recognizable. I instantly recognized the face as the girl who had gone missing so long ago. I literally threw up because of the horror I was feeling. I called the police and told them I need the cops right away. They showed up quickly and I showed them the screen, and then a picture of the missing child. They gave their own signs of disgust before giving me a lecture about how I went about reporting this wrong, that I shouldn't have called the cops or whatever. But they still took down the URL and thanked me for finding this. It took much longer than I hoped for the website to finally come down, but I have no idea if they ever caught the sick fuck that did that, or anybody that posted anything on this forum for that matter. I caught my brother browsing some weird website one night. It had pictures of guns and illegal drugs. He and I are really close, so we don't usually hide things from each other, so when I questioned him, he straight up told me he was buying weed on a website called Mr. Nice Guy Market. I told him that's illegal and that he would obviously get caught. Then he went on about telling me that he's safe and anonymous on the deep web. I assured him that that's complete nonsense, that everything is traceable, but he told me he's already used it at least 10 times and that I can't stop him. So I gave up and watched him make his purchase. He found some new listing of cannabis called The Poison Queen. It had one review which rated it positively. I suggested to him that he find one with more ratings, but he started acting like some kind of pro, telling me to relax. The seller was from the same state as us, which would make for quick delivery, claimed my brother. He did his thing. He used some kind of weird program to encrypt his message to the seller, which included his name, our address, and other info. I reminded him it was a mistake, but he told me everything is fine. About a week later, my brother started getting concerned that he got scammed because there was never any word from the seller. Coincidentally, on that same night, we got a heavy knock at the door. I got nervous that it was the police and that they caught on to my brother's illegal drug purchase, but it turned out to be much worse than just the police. He opened the door, and we were greeted by some sketchy-looking guy with medium-length hair, all fuzzy and messy, a brown, messy beard, a fat belly, and a very obviously fake Rolex on his wrist. He then said my brother's name, and I saw my brother step back a bit. The guy asked my brother if he was the one who bought the weed. My brother didn't know how to answer. All I heard him mumble was, "I thought you would ship it." The guy then started motioning for us to come out to his van. I told my brother not to, but he went out anyway. I had to follow him to make sure nothing happened. I didn't feel right about this situation. About halfway to his van, I noticed something in the passenger circular window on the back. There was somebody with a ski mask on, barely making themselves visible as they peered out to us. I saw the guy leading us to the van notice him and begin to motion with his hand for the guy to get down. At that moment, I grabbed my little brother and dragged him all the way back in the house. I didn't realize until it was almost too late that the guy was chasing me. I was able to shut the door and lock it. They saw there were no cars in the driveway, so they must have assumed our parents weren't home. The guy started banging and kicking at the door, and by some stroke of luck, a larger man walking with his dog passed by and noticed what was going on. He questioned the guy at the door, which seemed to scare him off. We watched as the van drove down the road out of sight. I was so anxious to tell my dad, even if it meant ratting out my brother, that I ran to my dad's car when he got home to greet him. I then noticed the same van halfway down the block, parked by the entrance of the cul-de-sac down the road. Only for a moment though, before it drove off seconds after I noticed. I haven't actually seen it since, and it's been 3 whole months. I think this was a good lesson for my brother to stop messing around on the web. I was on tour trying to find some really deep websites. I was in a chat room where people normally shared links to deeper websites and weird pictures and videos, commonly illegal pornography. Some guy named Vintage XXX posted a link without describing what it was. I clicked on it and it took me to a black screen where a big video box eventually popped up with a play button. The video thumbnail was a dark room only lit by a TV screen. Out of curiosity, I clicked play and began to hear the sound of TV static in the background as lines of static slowly swam down the video screen. There was no seek bar on this video. Then I noticed something slowly begin to emerge from behind the wall. It was a figure dressed in all black with some kind of black mask on as well. I started to suspect it was a jump scare video, and I thought I was right when the figure leaped out and ran to the screen in less than a second. It still got me even though I was expecting it, but then it got strange. The person had their face in front of the screen, slowly moving around as if he could see me and was observing me. Then I heard a crackly, demonic voice say something. It came from the video. It repeated itself, and I could make the phrase out to be, "Ask me something." I was really confused. I tried typing something, but there was nowhere to enter text. Then he said, "No, not the keyboard. Say something." I felt my heart punch the inside of my chest as he said this. I opened my mouth and mumbled the words, "You can hear me?" It responded with, "Yes." I was uncomfortable now. I thought it was a video. I pressed pause, but it didn't do anything. He said, "Don't try to leave. I want to talk." I tried moving the mouse to the exit button, but the mouse was frozen. In fact, none of the keys were responding on my keyboard. There was a long moment of silence before my webcam began flashing as if it were on, and my face popped up on the screen. "There, I got a picture of you now. Now just hang on while I get your address, and then we can meet." I started to panic, smashing every key on the keyboard, spazzing the mouse, but it did nothing. I had my finger on the power button, but it also didn't do anything. The computer wouldn't turn off. The voice was saying crazy things like, "You're stuck here. I will find you. Don't even bother." I snatched the screwdriver sitting on my desk, unscrewed the 4 screws on the bottom of my laptop, and took out the battery. The computer finally turned off. I was gasping for air as if I just ran a marathon. My heart was pounding 5 times as fast as it should have. I have since left my laptop off after that, and have resorted to using my desktop as my main computer. I'm sure by now nothing will happen. He definitely didn't have enough time to get my address.